The moment I brought that impossible thing into my room, I already knew something was wrong. Not normal wrong, not risky wrong, I mean deeply unnatural. At first, it did not even look like something that should be alive. It looked like a giant flesh-colored mass folded in on itself. Too still, too heavy, too disturbing to understand. But then it moved. And the second it moved, I understood this was not some strange creature. This was something much worse. A Titan. Not a cartoon version. Not some game-style monster. I mean a real one. A horrifying, real-life Colossal Titan. At first, it was small enough to remain inside the room. That was the only reason I did not panic instantly. It was still too large to feel normal, but not yet large enough to break everything around it. It crouched low on the wooden floor like its own body barely fit inside the space. Its head was bowed, its back was curved, its limbs were folded in. And even in that compressed position, it looked wrong in a way I cannot fully explain. Because this was not an animal. It did not have fur. It did not have scales. It did not even have proper skin. Its whole body looked like an exposed living muscle. Red, wet, stretched muscle fibers, thick cords running across the shoulders, dense layered muscle wrapping around the arms, long sinewy strands across the torso. Powerful legs built like columns of raw flesh. Its face was even worse. No normal skin, no normal expression, just a skull-like structure over exposed muscle, deep-set eyes, and a look that felt completely inhuman. It did not look angry. It did not look confused. It looked empty. And that emptiness made it terrifying. Steam drifted off its body almost constantly. Not huge clouds at first, just thin trails, like heat leaking out of it. Like the room itself was starting to react to its presence. That was the first thing that made the whole situation feel real. The heat. The air around it felt warmer. The room felt tighter. And even though it had only just started moving, it already felt too large for the space it was in. My bedroom still looked normal around it. Wooden floor, standard bed on the left side, desk on the right side, chair near the desk, warm lamps glowing in the corners, plain walls, a normal lived-in room. Except now there was a crouched Colossal Titan inside it. And somehow that contrast made everything worse. Because the more normal the room looked, the more impossible the Titan looked. I kept staring at its body, trying to make sense of it. The muscle structure across the chest, the size of the hands, the length of the arms, the steam rising from the shoulders, the shape of the skull-like face, the deep, dark eyes. The way its breathing looked heavy even while it barely moved. For the first minute or so, it did not attack. It did not lunge. It did not roar. It just slowly raised its head and looked around. That was enough. That was already too much. Because once something that huge starts observing its surroundings, your mind stops seeing it as an object. It becomes a presence, a living threat. It looked at the bed, it looked at the desk, it looked at the wall, then it looked at me. And that was the moment the fear became real. Not because it suddenly moved fast, because it looked aware. Like it understood the room, like it understood how small the room was, like it understood I was inside it with him. Steam kept drifting off its body. The air kept getting hotter. Tiny sounds started happening in the room. Wood settling. Objects shifting slightly. The floor complaining under the weight. That was when I realized the biggest problem. It was still growing, not dramatically at first, but enough. Enough that every few seconds it looked a little worse. A little taller, a little broader, a little less contained. And that is why this story was never going to stay small for long. Because a creature like the Colossal Titan does not belong in a room. It does not belong in a building. It barely belongs in a city. Its shoulders widened, its head lifted higher, its arms unfolded more, its spine straightened, its steam thickened, its body kept rising. And once that happened, the room was finished. The ceiling started to feel too close. The walls started to feel temporary. The furniture stopped looking like furniture and started looking like obstacles. The bed was nothing. The desk was nothing. The chair was nothing. The whole room had turned into a box around something that was never meant to stay boxed in. Then it stood higher, and the real disaster began. The ceiling cracked first, then the upper wall. Then came the sound of structure failing. Wood snapped, plaster broke, dust dropped from above. The whole room shuddered under the pressure of a body still expanding. At that point, there was no pretending anymore. This was not a creature I could study. Not a thing I could contain. Not something I could keep hidden. This was a colossal titan becoming what it was meant to be. It rose again, and this time the ceiling gave way. Then the upper wall split wider. Then suddenly the room was open to the rest of the building. Its head and shoulders forced upward, its arms pushed outward. Its steam filled the broken interior, and only seconds later it was no longer in my room at all. It was in the building, then outside. And the second it reached open space, everything escalated, because outside it looked even more terrifying. Inside the room it had looked trapped. Outside it looked correct. Its full height kept revealing itself. Its body kept rising over the street. Its shoulders climbed above the traffic lights. Its head lifted above the nearby buildings. Its exposed muscle glistened under the daylight and firelight. Steam poured off its body in thick waves. Its feet crushed the road beneath it. Its size turned the whole street into something tiny. And then people understood what they were looking at. Cars stopped. Pedestrians froze. Phones came out. Then the panic started. Because once something that size starts moving through a real city, everything breaks. Roads cracked. Cars were crushed. Glass exploded from storefronts. Buildings shook. Concrete broke. People ran in every direction, and all of it looked horrifyingly real. That is what made it worse. Nothing about it felt like fantasy anymore. The smoke felt real. The debris felt real. The scale felt real. The destruction felt real. Even the Titan itself did not feel like a fantasy character anymore. It felt like a disaster with a human shape. Its body towered over apartment blocks. Its head rose above rooftops. Its arms looked long enough to reach across streets. Its steam rolled through the city like heat from an industrial furnace. And every step made the damage worse. That is when I understood the real truth. Some monsters do not need powers, weapons, or dramatic attacks to destroy everything around them. Sometimes their size alone is enough, and the Colossal Titan is exactly that kind of horror. Because the moment something like that exists in the real world, normal life ends around it. Not later. Immediately. The room is gone. The building is gone. The street is gone. Then the city starts going with it. That is why this was never a pet story. It was never even a creature story. It was a scale story. A catastrophe story. A story about what happens when something impossibly large becomes physically real in a world that cannot handle it. And that is also why the beginning is the most disturbing part. Because it started small enough to witness up close. Small enough to stand in the room with. Small enough to study. Small enough to underestimate for a few seconds. But the Colossal Titan does not stay small. It does not stay containable. And it does not stay survivable. So would seeing something like that in real life be unforgettable? Absolutely. Would it feel unreal at first? Yes. Would there be a few moments where your brain still tries to understand it before panic takes over? Definitely. But would I ever try to keep it? No chance. Because the moment something like the Colossal Titan appears in the real world, the disaster has already started. And once it begins to stand up, there is nothing small left about it.